So, my Xbox fanboy of a friend has finally played God of War on PS4.
I did. I walked right through the whole story, and boy, do I want to talk about it.
Welcome everybody to Tex-Mex Nerd Feed.
I'm Tex.
And I'm Mex.
Today we'll be starting a news segment that we are entitling BBC, which stands for the British Broadcasting Channel.
No.
Oh, you're right. It stands for Big Black...
No!
No?
No.
What is it?
It's buy it, borrow it, chuck it.
Either buy the game, see if you can borrow it from a friend, meaning it's okay, or chuck it, meaning it's garbage.
Yes. So today we are discussing God of War.
This is going to be an interview type where the PlayStation fan will then interview the Xbox fan on his opinions of the game. Therefore, take it away, Mr. Interviewer.
Okay, so the thing with God of War and most of the PlayStation games is that they're very narrative driven.
Yes.
So
Something I am a big fan of.
Okay, so I will start out with, what did you think of the story?
I love the story. I haven't played many of the God of War games before. I actually watched on YouTube the cutscenes from the first two games, and then I played through 3.
Okay.
I never played Chains of Olympus or
Ascension. Okay.
I didn't even look into them at all.
Okay.
However, I do love the Pantheon change in this game.
Okay, yeah, I thought I was nervous beforehand to see that change and how they were going to go about it, but they're just different places in the world.
Yes.
I like how they did that.
It's a very clever idea.
Yeah. So, speaking of the storyline, and you not really knowing much about it, you got that feel for it prior to.
Yes.
So, you know that he had lost his wife and daughter at his own hands because of deceit from Ares, the god of war in the Greek mythos.
Yes, which is why he's gray, correct?
Yeah, he is.
The ashes of his family.
And he is angry, very angry. And so you kind of just go through the whole story. We're not going to go through the whole story with that. But now you see him with another wife and another child.
I'm trying to be the correct example of what he's lost over the years.
And you see that challenge. So what did you think of that dynamic between Kratos and Atreus throughout the...
I enjoyed it a lot. I felt in place of Kratos.
Okay.
Because when Atreus becomes the little arrogant piece of crap that he does later on in the story.
But we're gods. We can do whatever we want.
I couldn't tell you how upset I was to be placed in Kratos' shoes.
Yeah, it's very immersive, not only with the way they made the graphics look and stuff, just the dynamic between the voice actors and everything and the characters that they developed. I completely agree.
I like this to see Kratos realizing what he did in the past and how wrong he was and trying to keep Atreus from going down the same road.
Yeah, definitely.
And you must be better than me.
So, the dynamic between those two is phenomenal. We go to the dynamic between the third wheel, the character that you didn't really expect to get.
Yes.
So what did you think of Mimir?
I think he was a great addition.
Yeah.
Very helpful in revealing the lore of the Norse mythos.
Yeah.
And tying that into how the game twisted it.
Yeah, exactly. Because in the God of War series, you can see that the gods that were worshipped by the previous civilizations were kind of not portrayed the same way in the God of War series.
Right.
They kind of needed to turn them into the bad guys so that Kratos can go on and kill him, essentially, and destroy the Pantheon. So they had to do the same thing with this, but they had to make you care for it as much as you did in Greek. And so I think that they did a really good job doing that and using Mimir to kind of tell those stories.
Yeah,
it's just absolutely phenomenal.
Into the story of how they were planning on placing it.
Yeah. So there are going to be spoilers for those of you who may not realize that. What did you think of the mother dying and them having to carry the ashes to the...
It was
the
a
people?
very good plot point.
Okay.
To keep it going through the whole thing. The only thing I thought was a little hokey was that that's not the right peak thing when they first find Mimir.
Yeah.
It did keep the story going, and if you can look past that, the story is very far well enough to keep it going after that. It just seemed like they could have found a better way to keep the story going.
Yeah. So
It felt very Mario-esque.
Oh,
This
okay.
is not the princess.
Yeah, the princess isn't in the castle. Yeah. All right, so yeah, that makes sense. Now, going on to the big spoilers towards the end, what did you think of the reveal of Atreus' mom being Lao Fei?
Oh, I thought that was very clever in making him supposed to be Loki as well.
Okay.
I also saw an article saying that a bunch of fans went through and translated the runic languages and said that Kratos is, they named him Farbati in the Jotunheim.
Okay.
Jotunheim?
The Jotun language, is that what
Yeah.
it is? Okay. Yeah, so he
Which is Loki's father.
Okay, so they just kind of really made it that Loki is... They kind of completed the circle, and
Yes.
it's like, yeah, the Loki is the son of Lao Fei, and then...
Farbati.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's cool. I did not know that about the Kratos side of things. So let's get into another part that was a big reveal to actual God of War fans. Like you said, being that you weren't a huge fan of it, you get to the point where you need to go to hell. And it's very cold there, so you need a specific type of weapon.
Fire that won't die.
Yes. So getting the Blades of Chaos back, that was for fans was huge.
Oh, that was an awesome moment.
Yeah.
For me as well.
That's cool, because I wasn't sure what you would think of that, knowing that you aren't like a huge fan of God of War, but you just kind of know.
I was always a fan of it. I just
Okay,
never had
gotcha.
the opportunity.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. So yeah, that for us that was. Like my heart was racing and everything. I was just
great.
so happy.
Seeing Athena in the boat with him on the ride back was great as well.
That whole sequence was absolutely amazing in my opinion.
I love Mimir's comments on it too.
I don't remember them.
He said, "Oh, Athena, I always knew you were Greek for the record."
And for the record, I'd already guessed you were Greek. Athena, dead giveaway.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember that. So the big reveal, I mean, although the Leviathan axe was absolutely amazing and I love it,
Brand
it was awesome to be able to switch between both.
Yes,
and,
that was fantastic.
yeah. So we go into the adversaries, the antagonists.
Yes.
Which I say antagonists. There
That's
were
really
only
well.
3, one major one.
Yes.
So you have Magni and Modi, the sons of Thor, and
But they were a good role in Atreus' development.
yes, definitely.
Pretty much all they're there for.
Yeah. The representation, like how they act and stuff, is very reminiscent of Thor.
Yeah,
and
I don't
it
know
is
a lot of Norse mythology.
okay, yeah. I need to get you that book that I have. If you read the
Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman Norse mythology book, you do get a sense of how Thor is. You get a sense of how like mostly all of them are. But yeah, the way Magni and Modi kind of represent Thor is amazing.
Right.
And then you get into Balder. That one kind of caught me off guard
Being
because
that it was Baldur.
yeah, because like the stranger, like they called him the stranger at first. Fun fact. Reading through Norse mythology, Balder is loved by every being, and even inanimate objects. His mother had gone through. I don't remember who his mother is. In God of War, it is the hell is her name? Freya. I believe in actual Norse mythology, his mother was Frigg.
Yes.
So Frigg went to a bunch of different living people or living beings and inanimate objects and made them swear that they would not kill Balder because there was a vision of Balder dying. So she just freaked out. She's like, I can't lose my son. Everybody loves him. He is amazing. He's gorgeous. Like he's just like the epitome of attractiveness, and everybody loves him. he did not really represent that in the game.
That's not the mythos that I've ever heard about Balder.
Oh, really?
The mythos that I heard, he was kind of tyrannical.
Okay.
But Freya or Frigg, whichever one, I think it was Frigg in this case, did the same thing which Freya did, was make him unkillable.
Yeah.
And I forget who it was, but Loki tricked them, found out his one weakness being mistletoe.
Yeah.
And tricked them into killing.
That is what happens.
Okay.
That is what happens, but it's because, like, yeah, it's the same thing. Like, I think they described it as mistletoe being such a young, like, organism. Like, it was irrelevant. She's like, I can skip that.
Yeah.
Loki found out and had Hod, the blind.
Yes, I remember that.
The blind god. Throw, like, because people were just like having a ball, like, oh, I can try to kill Balder and he won't die. So then Loki is like, hey, try this, and because Hod wasn't in on the fun, so he was like, here, throw this at him, and it was a spear made of mistletoe. Killed Balder, which in turn started Ragnarok.
Okay.
And Fimbulwinter, which is the long winter,
leading up to Ragnarok.
yeah, which you can see happens when Loki, with the mistletoe arrow holding in his quiver, kind of kills Balder, and then you lead into Fimbulwinter.
That was another one of my favorite parts, was when they gave him the mistletoe arrows and Freya threw him in the fire right away.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't catch on to that until the very end.
Gotcha. So, yeah, I think they did a good job with the God of War aspect of the storyline. They did a very good job with the Norse mythology aspect of the storyline.
Very, very well.
And then, so Balder, although he doesn't look that attractive, and like they didn't make him like the shining, like light, whatever. Like that's just how I picture him. He was very Viking-esque and looked very much like a Viking, and they got the fact that he cannot die other than by means of mistletoe correct. And so it was really cool. So, getting through all the storyline aspects, we'll get into the gameplay.
Okay.
What did you think of that?
I thought it was very well done. I'm usually not the biggest fan of button masher fighters.
Like hack and slash?
Yeah, but this was enough of a strategic based hack and slash where it felt just fine. It wasn't
as much as the old God of Wars where you really just smash square and triangle.
Yeah, jump into the air and stay there for 7-8 seconds.
Yeah,
fighting everybody.
Yeah, and then you go to the boss battle, and then that requires some strategy.
Yeah.
This time around, they really
it was very well done. The only thing I could have asked for more from it, which I got kind of tired of, was the mini bosses all being nearly the same.
The trolls. Yeah.
They were all just about
were they
the
trolls?
same.
But something like that. Yeah, they were the exact same. Ogres. They were all the exact same, just different, like just color palette changes
Even
and stuff.
a different finisher animation. Because that got old as well.
Which I feel like they just kind of, that was the least of their worries, so they didn't care about it. But that seemed to be a big problem with a lot of the fans, was that you have these like semi-bosses, we'll call them.
And they're a big part of the game. Every so often you find them, and it's like a pivotal point where you always find them.
Yeah, so you have these semi-bosses, and the old ones that are all different looking, and they're different character, or different creatures and stuff from the mythos. And now you have an ogre, and that's it. Yeah, and so like they could have explored a lot more in regards to it.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so you have these very easy draugrs that are just like quick, easy ones to get rid of. Then you kind of go up the line. You have your bosses. What about the side quest bosses, the Valkyries?
Yeah, I only ever took out the two of them.
Scooch this way a little bit, just because that might be a bit.
Ouch, that's probably been for quite some time.
Yeah.
I only ever took out the two of them, and that was a lot of doing to take out those two.
Okay. So yeah, I had gone through all of them, and they're a bit much, but it was very rewarding, not only for the challenge, but like the equipment you get too. So.
Right.
So it was good. And then I guess the last part we can touch on is the soundtrack. Bear McCreary was the artist.
It
for
was
the
very
soundtrack.
well done as well. We mentioned this in a previous video that I don't really pay too much attention to that, but the parts where it was prevalent, it was very well done.
Yeah, and to me that is one of the things that really captures me.
Right.
And like the main God of War theme is. It just makes you feel like you want to go kill some Draugr. Yeah. So, other than that, I guess we go into the last part of the series, which is, would you recommend, for those who like have the money, do you buy a PlayStation for this game so you can play it? Do you borrow it if the means are there? If the means aren't there, then you kind of go into the last one. You ignore it.
I think for anybody that is a fan of A, the God of War series, or B, Norse mythology, it is well worth your time to buy this game and anything that comes with it. If you're not a fan of either but are still looking for a fun story and a great game, definitely borrow it. But by no means should this game be chucked. This is very prevalent. It is a grand game.
So overall, we'll say if you're a fan of God of War, I would say if you're a fan of hack and slashes,
yes,
with a good narrative, definitely.
Or if you're a fan of a good story in general.
Yeah.
This was a very good story.
So the borrow, if you have those means, that should probably be your first choice. That'll save you a lot of money, and you still get to do it. But
it's well worth the money.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's worth breaking the bank if need be.
Yes. And here's a fun fact. Fun fact. I don't know if you knew about. There is a item in the game, an armor, or an amulet, called the Shattered Gauntlet of the Ages.
Oh, okay.
Which is very, very reminiscent of the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
And there are 6 upgrades to this, which are all different stones to be placed in the gauntlet, making it a very powerful tool once you find all 6 stones.
Yes. I did hear about that, but I did not go and try to get it.
I did find the gauntlet by chance.
Oh, okay.
And I think I found one of the stones for it.
Okay.
But I never actually used too much, because the first time I used it, being that it was without anything, I didn't understand it at all. Now finding that out, it makes me want to go back, find them all, and see what it does.
So, if you liked this series, we do plan to do it more often. Like I said, we are different people. I'm a Nintendo and PlayStation fanboy. He's an Xbox fanboy. So we are going to do this pretty often. We have a couple other ones in place. He had a situation in which he was able to play through God of War, Spider-Man for PS4, Horizon Zero Dawn, and The Last of Us.
Yep.
So there are a bunch that he has. I still need to catch up, but
being on the Of War series, we will try to do another one, the next one probably, where Mex plays Gears of War.
So yeah, we'll
being
do
the
a
Xbox counterpart.
Yep, we'll do a God of War, Gears of War, BBC.
There we go.
So if you like the video and you want to see more, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified every time we post a video.
That's right. Leave a comment on if things you agreed with, things you disagreed with, and your general impression on God of War series. Make sure to share this with your friends if you think they'd like it too.
Yeah,
informative.
And a good question that I'd like to ask for those who do have an Xbox and have seen things on God of War, did you ever consider picking up God of War or a PlayStation for that fact?
Yes.
So, if that's it,
thanks for watching.